Hey everybody, it's been 6 months since I tried the Elgato XLR dock. There were some issues for us Mac users, and after 6 months, I decided it was time to try it again to see if those issues have been resolved and to just see how usable it is for those of us who use Macs for content creation. The main issue I had was that there was no way to turn on phantom power, and since I was using a condenser microphone, that's something I need in order to record. So, in other words, upon release, the XLR dock could only be used with dynamic microphones. It sounds like PC users didn't have the same issue. Elgato provided me with some beta software over the months, but for right now, I deleted that and installed the current release of WaveLink, which it's their software controller for the XLR dock. Right now, I tested using 1.10.1, and this is what I found. The first thing I noticed was that there still wasn't any kind of control for the mic, even after adding the XLR dock as a channel. This meant there still wasn't a way to turn on the phantom power. And I'm pretty sure that version 1.10 was the same release that was available when the XLR dock was released. Elgato sent me some beta versions over the last few months that solved the phantom power issue, but had other issues. I haven't tried version 2 of WaveLink, so I downloaded the beta, which is version 2.0.3, build 3572, and you can find their most current beta software if you go to Elgato's download page and scroll to the bottom. As of January 2025, you'll be looking for like a light blue banner that says Get Experimental. Click on the button to see their beta software and you can choose what you want to download. The first thing I noticed with this new version of WaveLink is we now have controls for the XLR hub. We have an input level meter, input gain, and a 48-volt phantom power checkbox for toggling on phantom power. We also have controls for the headphone volume and a mic and PC mix slider for mixing how much of our mic we hear relative to the computer audio. So far, this is all working as I'd expect. Testing everything out, the first thing that I did notice is the headphone amp is on the noisy side. This probably won't matter much if you have music or some other piece of audio playing, but for me, it is distracting if I have my headphones on and nothing playing. I know that that seems like kind of an odd situation, but it's one I do find myself in often enough. Like if I'm waiting for a client to join a call or if I'm getting ready to record content. One other thing to note is that while I was testing out the software, I did something and it froze up and I had to restart the software. When I did, the headphone volume reset to a default value instead of remembering the volume that I previously had it set at. So be aware of that. And I should also note that the mic gain level pretty much does the same thing. Whenever you quit WaveLink, the mic gain level resets to a default value. Hopefully this is something that they can fix in the future so WaveLink remembers the settings or the previously used settings. For this video, I'm recording with the Shure SM7B, which is a notoriously gain-hungry mic. These preamps have up to 75 dB of gain, but even at 60 dB, I was hearing some noise from the preamps. I'm not sure at the moment if I'll end up applying some noise reduction to clean up the audio or not. Right now, I've got it set for 55 dB. Hopefully that makes enough of a difference. It really just depends on how distracting the noise is or isn't. And I'll leave a note in the bottom here indicating whether I used noise reduction or not. Either way, even if you're using an SM7B, the preamp is adequate enough to power it, but you're going to get some noise. Next, I wanted to set up a custom mix. When we look at the WaveLink software, we can add additional channels. Essentially, this allows us to bring audio from different sources into their own channel. Each channel has two faders. The one on the left with the headphones, that controls the level of the monitor mix. This is the mix that you hear in your headphones, and the other slider is the stream mix, meaning it controls how loud each channel is, so that's what gets sent out to the internet when you're streaming. This lets you create two separate mixes. For instance, in my monitor, I might want the music quieter so I can hear my mic better, and I don't feel like I have to yell to hear myself. In addition to the sliders, you can also mute each one by clicking on the headphone or the stream icon at the bottom of the relevant slider. You'll want to keep your mic muted on the monitor mix, or you will hear yourself doubled, unless you've got the mic PC slider set to 100%, in which case you'll hear the mic with a slight delay or latency. To add a new channel, you just click on the next number in the WaveLink controls. So in this case, I'll click on 3 to create channel 3, and I'll choose a label for the channel. Channel 1 is the XLR Dock, channel 2 is music, and I've chosen browser for channel 3. Now we click on the plus button to choose the source. In this case, I'll choose Safari. This means that any audio that I play from Safari will be routed to channel 3. So you can basically choose any open app as an input source, and you can choose multiple input sources for each track. So for browser, I can select Safari and Chrome, and both will play through channel 3. Let me pause things for just a second and ask that if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're so inclined, subscribe to the channel to see more of my content. When using the Stream Deck, it's easy enough to control your mic and headphone volumes. You can mute your mic and adjust the gain of the mic and headphone volume without having to dive into the software. But there does seem to be a bug because the values shown on the Stream Deck do not update as you make adjustments, so you're basically right now making them by ear. Overall, the software is much more stable and usable on Macs than it was upon release, at least this beta version. It's fully functional, though it does still have some bugs in it. It's a significant improvement over the 1.11 betas that I had tried that had issues that still made XLR Dock unusable for me. There was an issue where I could only hear myself with latency. Another issue was that WaveLink would hijack my audio if I wasn't using the XLR Dock as my audio interface. And this took me hours of time to try and troubleshoot when I was on some tight deadlines, because when I pressed play on my DAW, everything was playing, but there was no audio. Unfortunately, this issue does still remain, but it's not quite as bad as it was, but it's not one that most XLR Dock users will face. My situation is a bit unique in that I have a studio setup, which I have my rack-mounted audio interface, the UA Apollo. My studio monitors are plugged into that, so it's my primary means of audio playback, both with monitors and headphones. Let's say I created a custom mix that has Apple Music assigned to a channel in WaveLink. If WaveLink is open, Apple Music will not play through my Apollo and my monitors. Even if I set the monitor mix to output to my audio interface, I get nothing. The only solution is to quit the WaveLink software and ensure that it's set to not start up automatically at login. And like I said, this is only going to be a problem if you have a primary audio interface that you use and you're only going to use the XLR dock as an input device for your mic and to use the software to create custom mixes for streams. I don't think this will impact many of you, but it is worth mentioning. Do I recommend the XLR dock? I'm a bit mixed on it. If you're using the Stream Deck Plus and you create content, it will fit nicely into your ecosystem without adding anything else to your desktop. The audio routing is easy to use and set up, but if you're a stickler for audio quality and you use a gain-hungry mic like an SM7B, it is going to be on the noisy side. Only you can decide if you're okay with that level of noise. If you're using a condenser or a dynamic mic that doesn't need as much gain, this could still be a good choice for you. If you're not using a Stream Deck Plus or you want really clean recordings with a gain-hungry dynamic mic, there are better and cheaper options out there. The Focusrite Vocaster 1 comes to mind, and it just has a better preamp, it has similar audio routing capabilities, and it's been on sale throughout most of 2024 for like $50 to $60. I get the feeling that these didn't sell as well as expected, and they're trying to blow them out. Not because they're bad, but I don't think that Focusrite did a good enough job marketing them to dethrone the 2i2 as the interface of choice for content creators. The only use case where I could justify the $299 price tag that would cost to buy the XLR dock and Stream Deck Plus is if you know you'll get a lot of utility from the Stream Deck and you need an audio interface too, but you're someone who has limited desk space. Since this plugs directly into the Stream Deck, it takes up no additional space and it doesn't require any additional cables other than the XLR cable for the microphone and your headphone cable. But overall, the XLR dock is a good option for many content creators who are already using a Stream Deck Plus. Elgato found a creative way to add more functionality to these devices with their XLR dock and the USB hub. I only wish they would have put in a higher quality preamp and headphone amp. These are the two areas where the XLR dock just misses the mark for my needs. What about you? Do you have any questions about the XLR dock, especially as a Mac user? What makes the XLR dock an attractive option to you? How would it fit into your workflow? Let me know in the comments below, and as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.